Hi, my name is Larry London, and I welcome you to Border Crossings. Today, we are joined by a singer-songwriter who has a new album out right now. It's called Carving Canyons, and we would like to welcome to our worldwide program here on the Voice of America, Lissie. Lissie, it's nice to have you with us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
First of all, Carving Canyons, that is an interesting name for an album. I believe this is album number 5, if I'm not mistaken, but...
Yep, my fifth original full-length album. I've put some other things out, but yes, it's been long overdue. So I'm excited to have it out and for the world to hear it.
Yeah, you've been working on this for a year.
Yeah, more or less over the last, since November of 2020 was when I started writing. But obviously, the pandemic was a lot to process for a lot of people. So everyone's plans got a little bit delayed.
And so how would you describe your sound? Because I hate to put people in a format box or limit people, but this album, the songs on this particular album come from inspiration from your garden or the garden or a garden. Lots of songs about flowers, and there's a very, very popular song, speaking of flowers. But tell me about the song and Carving Canyons, the name.
Yeah. Well, Carving Canyons was actually a title that a great friend of mine, Sarah Buxton, who's an incredible artist and songwriter and human, when you go and you write in Nashville, a lot of these really just like amazing craft people of song, they start with titles. And so Carving Canyons was actually a title that she had been mulling over. And her and Kate York and I sat down around a fire, very casual, more like we were hanging out, drinking wine, talking about life. And she was going through a lot just with family. And as we all, do in life, we have grief and losses and pain and struggles, but we also have a lot of beauty and joy. And so she was sort of talking about this idea of like, carving canyons as though, we're painting our lives as we go through the ups and downs so that we kind of, if you had this bird's eye view, could see this gorgeous landscape that is your life, and the peaks and the valleys, and the vibrant colors. And so we wrote the song Carving Canyons. And when you're making an album, at the end when all the songs were recorded and done, and I had started kind of in this place of heartache and sort of gone through this arc of grief and spending time outside and watching the seasons and watching things grow and seeing the metaphors in the garden and in nature for life, was able to kind of at the end of it all say, hey, Sarah, do you mind if I call the album Carving Canyons? Because I think that's what this is. My songs are universal, hopefully. I mean, it's like it's about the human experience. And so that's what Carving Canyons means to me.
And now I hate to dig too deep or cross the line, but you talk frequently in interviews about the heartache and things like that. What exactly are we talking about? Can you tell us? Can you share a little piece with Lissie with the audience?
Absolutely. I mean, I think for each of us, we go through life learning more about ourselves and what sets us off and the patterns that we recreate and, the relationships that don't work out. I think in my life, I have always been really passionate about music and my career. So maybe I've sacrificed nurturing other areas of my life, relationships that haven't worked out, and those endings that are so painful, and you think no one's ever felt this sad, but the truth is we've all been there. Specific to this album, I was in a relationship for a couple of years, and right kind of in May of 2020, during the pandemic, it ended in a sort of shocking way. There was like some betrayal and
oh my,
kind of, it was just a hard time and people not making good decisions or communicating well. And so feeling a little blindsided and then also the state of the world. I mean, I remember going to the dentist in May of 2020 and sitting next to this old woman who was kind of started crying in the reception area about just how lonely and scared she felt because she was so isolated and her husband was gone, and just being around so much pain and it being just like palpable in the air. So it was like my breakup, but it wasn't just my breakup. I mean, it was just the tension of politics and the virus and seeing people who were alone and lonely and struggling and for me to have gone from being in this relationship at the beginning of the pandemic to then being, I live on a farm and I'm with my dog, and it was really humbling and it was really hard, but I think I learned a lot and I grew a lot and I got stronger and I got more perspective. And so when I talk about heartache, I feel like it's not even specific to the breakup, although a lot of the songs are about kind of processing that pain. But I kind of come out the other side of it because the record was made over a year. So you get kind of other topics because it wasn't just the breakup, it's
right.
How do you navigate life with like some grace and some dignity,
Yes. There's a lot going on. And, even though it feels like way in the past, COVID's not in the past, it's still in the present. But the fact that we had to stay in the house, we couldn't go anywhere, life kind of came to a halt, and relationships were put to the test because we were spending an enormous amount of time with people in our house that we hadn't previously spent, getting to know ourselves, getting to know them better. So there was a tremendous amount of pressure on relationships at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, I think now in hindsight too, it sounds kind of cliche or something to be like, oh, everything works out how it's supposed to.
Yep.
I mean, there's no meaning in like, needless death and people who lost loved ones in COVID. It's not to say that there was a meaning to that, but I think that period of isolation for some people, it was like the best thing that ever happened to them. Now they're working remote and they're living where they want to live, and they had babies and they, and for other people, not so much. For other people, they realized that they, the relationship they were in wasn't going to last, or, they started drinking too much wine, or, who knows what happened. But in hindsight, even with that relationship, I think there's a sort of, I love that I have music to process my life with and share because it's very helpful. And hopefully,
yes.
and then hopefully it helps other people too.
Therapeutic to yourself, the songwriter, therapeutic to those listening who might share similar experiences. And you talked about living where you want to live. You were originally from Ojai in California, up near Santa Barbara, I believe, Ojai.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Illinois, and then you wrote in Nashville. Where does Lissie really feel at home?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Rock Island, Illinois, which is on the Mississippi River across from Iowa. Family's been there for generations, so I'm a Midwesterner through and through. And I moved out to Colorado and then California when I was 18. I got the heck out of there, and swore I'd never come back. But then spent a couple years in Colorado and 5 years in LA and 7 years in Ojai, which is this beautiful, small, kind of citrus agricultural town that's now become kind of hip. So it's changed a lot since I left in 2015. I have always loved the northeast part of Iowa. I live in this area called the Driftless region, which is like surprisingly like hilly for the Midwest. Just really beautiful. It's Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa is like this driftless region. And yeah, so I ended up buying about 45 acres in northeast Iowa, and I live on a farm, and I don't farm, but I've done lots of different projects and conservancy things, trying to put things in prairie and clean up the pond and plant trees, and I garden, and I really like it. Yeah, and the winters are like brutal, but it's kind of cool because it makes you appreciate springtime more. And what really watching all of the cycles of the seasons has been I think informed just like how I navigate life. Like I keep coming back to that thing of like feeling my feelings, letting the seasons pass, hopefully learning a thing or two on the farm. I've had to really learn just through failing at things, and so
and succeeding too. Obviously you did something right. You got about 40 acres. That's a lot of land. We're talking with Lissie, who is with us here on Border Crossings on the Voice of America. Carving Canyons is the name of her latest album, which is now out, just recently became available. Would you do a song for us off the album?
Oh, I would absolutely love to.
What are you going to sing?
I am going to sing Flowers.
Flowers. Now, this is a big hit for you. This was, I think, the first single, if I'm not mistaken, off the album, and it's doing very well for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a big hit. Thank you for that. But yeah, it kind of was the introductory track when we announced the album back in June.
All right, here's Lissie, and this is called Flowers.
I'm okay, I'm just late to accept my fate. It's allowed to hurt. I'm allowed to burn. I'm allowed to wonder what you're doing now and dig up all your dirt. I'm allowed to beg. I'm allowed to scream. I wish that you were in this room with me instead of in my jeans with a bouquet of flowers. You used to bring flowers. You grew me flowers. I guess two things can be true. You love me and you know I loved you. Oh, and I'm trying to remember that people make mistakes that don't make it better. It's allowed to hurt. I'm allowed to burn. I'm allowed to wonder what you're doing now instead of with her, so that we could fight, so that you could cry, so that we could have a funeral. If this thing had to die, I would have brought flowers. I would lay flowers, flowers. We've been dying for days to be free of these roots. Forgot I could grow outside the garden of you. It's allowed to hurt. I'm allowed to burn. You were in this room with me instead of with her, so that we could fight, so that we could fight, so I could get out of this darkness and get back into my light, where I can grow flowers. I can grow my own flowers, grow flowers. I can grow my own flowers, grow flowers, flowers. I will grow so high I'll touch the sky above, the sky above. I will grow so high I'll touch the sky above, sky above.
Border Crossings, we are listening to music by Lissie. It's a song that's called Flowers, and Carving Canyons is the name of her new album. She's with us from her home studio, I assume. It looks like very homey, very comfortable. You got microphones set up, headphones on.
We're in my
Yes.
kitchen.
In your kitchen, your home kitchen studio. Now, Lissie's been making music actually since, I believe, Lenny Kravitz played a large part in your career at some point.
Yeah, so I've been singing my whole life, and I've been playing guitar and writing songs since I was a teenager. And once I'd moved to LA, I actually, in 2003, I moved to LA. In the first few years of being there, I was lucky that I kind of was discovered, and I had a record deal. And my first record deal fell through, but through that record deal, I met this amazing manager named Guy Osiri, who was friends with Lenny Kravitz, and it was before I'd made my first album. So I didn't have much material, but I had but nothing recorded. I had material. And he managed to swing me an opening slot just at solo acoustic for Lenny Kravitz's Love Revolution tour. And that was, 2008. So that was obviously huge. It was he was playing a lot of smaller theaters. So it was sort of this intimate kind of rock star experience. And I didn't spend much time with Lenny, to be honest. I met him, but it wasn't like we were kicking it backstage. I think that's a misconception. Even now when people open for me, I mean, of course I say hi to them, but it's not like, you're busy. You're not just hanging out. So he was lovely. He was very kind. And it was a great opportunity for me to get in front of some, big audiences for the first time in my career. So
Yeah. What a great start for your very first tour to be with Lenny Kravitz.
yeah, no, it was definitely like a dream come true and sort of unreal at the time when I found out. I couldn't believe it. So it was a ton of fun. And I think I learned really, I mean, to speak to me thinking like, oh, we're just going to be like partying and hanging out. It's like, no, you're going to be going. You're on a plane, you're on a train, you're in a car, you're at a hotel, you're not getting much sleep. You're,
right.
Warming up your voice and you're sound checking and, it was a good education of like the realities of touring. So.
I always admire artists who can keep the city straight where they are. When they say, good evening, Cleveland, you got to make sure that you got it right.
I know. It's true. I mean, you do kind of, which isn't to say that I haven't gotten to see amazing places and experience the places I've been to a degree, but it is a lot of like, you're in a different city every day sometimes. And, people are like, oh, what did you think of, Frankfurt? And I'm like, I saw the hotel and the venue and I left. Like I didn't see anything or, So I try to get out and explore. But for me as a vocalist, like sleeping is so important. It's like my instrument lives inside of my body. So if I don't sleep and, then I'm not going to be doing so hot.
Well, we're glad you're letting us share your instrument today in terms of being able to talk to you. And I know you're giving us your time and this is your tool, your livelihood. And performing with Lenny wasn't the first time you were on stage. I heard from a little birdie you were Annie at some point.
I was, yeah. I was, when I was 9, I was Annie in a dinner theater production. So it was like a professional regional dinner theater thing. There were actors who came from the area, like, traveled and from different cities. And so it was professional. And I was Annie and I was 9 and I did 82 performances. I had my 10th birthday on stage. And
wow.
I took it so seriously. I was like a little adult during it. I would have shows till 10, I wouldn't get home till 10 and 10:30 at night and get up and go to school. And I got to miss school on Wednesdays because I had a matinee performance and I got paid. And it was it's a demanding role. And I think, that gumption that like Annie had was like so nice to have to play that role at that time, because I think it sort of still translates to like I sometimes have this like attitude where I'm like, come on guys, like we can do it, So it was a really special time for me, and I loved it. I loved performing. Not just it's like was attention, but it was just like I felt like I've always been this emotional kind of person, and it's like it just allowed me to feel seen and understood to get up and belt on every night. And yeah, it was a blast.
Give you a chance to step into somebody else's body, because the character of Annie is well known, but you can play her and you can learn from her, and then you can put your own flair into Annie.
Yeah, I mean, she was just a feisty little orphan, and I loved being, she marched into FDR's office, and I loved. I think she got up on the table and started singing and dancing in FDR's office. It was fun to play such a strong character that was a kid.
Do you want to do more acting now these days, or is that long in the past?
Oh, I was more of a singer. I don't know that I was a very good actress back then, but I did actually do some acting recently. I was on a TV show called Louder Milk, which was like a direct TV show that now it's on Amazon. It's a great show. So Peter Farrelly, who's one of the Farrelly brothers, ended up becoming one of my friends in Ojai, him and his wife. Oh. And he just, and he won the Oscar for the Green Book. He's one of the Farrelly brothers. It blew my mind. Like I was like, oh my gosh, you wrote like something about Mary and Dumb and Dumber. Like I cannot believe that I'm talking to you. But they is so like down to earth and kind. He wrote a part for me in this TV show Louder Milk, which he ran and directed. And so I actually did like 5 episodes of acting.
Wow.
It was really terrifying. And I was like, I wanted to almost say no, because I'm like, I am so flattered and that you believe in me, but I don't act. And he's like, oh, you'll be fine. And was a great director and helped me, gave me some tricks to get out of my head. And by the time the editors cleaned up my performance, I actually did all right. So if anyone, it's a great show. It's about a guy who's runs an AA meeting essentially and has all these characters in his meeting and follows their lives. And it's pretty irreverent comedy. It's a comedy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So on Amazon, Loudermilk. It's got I'm in season 3, but there's 3 seasons.
And we are talking with Lissie, who is not only an actress, but she's also a singer-songwriter. That's probably first and foremost in her life and career. And it's Carving Canyons is the name of the newest album that's out now. Would you do another song for us?
I would. I'm going to probably play you an oldie if you don't mind.
No, oldies are goodies.
Yep. All right.
Which one are you going to do?
I would like to play, this song, When I'm Alone, came off my first record, and it was really the song that started my career. So I like to pay homage to it whenever I can.
All right. Here's Lissie on Border Crossings.
I turned my back, you were gone in a flash like you always do. You've always gone off somewhere else. Oh, when the phone rang and I thought it was you, and I sprung like a kid who just got out of school, but it's almost always never you, never you. I stay like a child, my inside. Oh, and world, and when I'm alone, where you make me feel, and you make me feel, and when I'm alone, where you are the one, and you are love. And when I reach out and I only grab air, and you kill me to think that you never did care, and it's hopeless. You've always run out somewhere else, and I'm throwing a tantrum. Why are you such a phantom? And when I'm alone, where you make me feel, and you make me feel, and when I'm alone, and you are the one, and you are love, and when I'm alone with you make me feel, and you make me feel, and when I'm alone with you, and you are love, remind me of home when you're around me. And next time you leave, don't go without me. No, don't go. No. You make me feel, you make me feel, and when I'm alone with you are the one, and you are the one, and when I'm alone. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, when I'm alone.
Border Crossings, and we've got Lissie with us, and she's in her kitchen. She's cooking up some hits. That was an oldie, and that particular song, if I'm not mistaken, one of your songs early on was like the UK Song of the Year. It was such a popular song there.
Yeah, so on my first album, Catching a Tiger, When I'm Alone was my, debut kind of single. It was the song of the year for the UK iTunes thing.
Thing.
They declared it Song of the Year. So that was a huge honor, and it's a song that got more radio play, and it was like really big in Norway. So that sort of one song led to me having this decades-long career in Norway, and I love Norway. So
Yeah, of course. Well, your mom is Swedish, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, both my mom and dad are Swedish. As far as we know, we're Swedish. But I did one of those ancestry things, and I'm Swedish and Norwegian and Finnish, and so we're pretty Scandinavian.
Oh, okay. Have you performed there back in Sweden or that part of the world?
You know, I have performed in Sweden a few times and I love it there as well. But I really, for some reason, and because of When I'm Alone, I go to Norway quite a bit. I mean, I've been there for 2 shows this summer, and that was my first time back after the pandemic or during the pandemic. But yeah, I'm going back there in September. And so mostly Norway, but I will get back to Sweden. But I go to Norway more than really anywhere else in Europe and the UK. I do. So.
Do you remember where you were the very first time you heard your music on the radio?
Oh, shoot. You know, yes, before I really had anything going, when I was in college in Colorado, I had done a song with a DJ in Boulder named DJ Harry, and we did a song called All My Life, and it ended up getting on a lot of like TV shows and stuff, but they played it on KBCO in Denver, and I think it was probably, you know, when I was still in college, and that was like having success with that song kind of gave me confidence I could actually be a professional musician. Don't know exactly where I was, but no, I was like in college and still like in classes and stuff, and hearing All My Life on KBCO and being blown away by that.
And that was nominated for a Grammy.
No, that was a different song with a DJ.
A different song.
Yes, people don't know. Like I've collaborated with a lot of DJs. I wrote a song with Morgan Page, who's a DJ, and so technically I wasn't nominated for a Grammy. So I wrote the song and I sang on it wrote it with Morgan, but Dead Mouse remixed it, and it was a remix category. So he was nominated for a Grammy for remixing our song, but we technically weren't nominated. So, but I can kind of say I'm still involved, you know.
Right. You're nominated for a piece of that Grammy. That's yours.
Right. Yeah, but our names weren't like listed even. I don't think. I don't know. It was still an honor. It's like Dead Mouse is cool, so it was cool. Yeah.
And so there is a tour plan now for Carving Canyons?
Yes.
You were in September, so what's the plan for the fall here and on into the end of the year?
Yeah, so some Norway stuff this month, this week, really, or, you know, where it happened last.
Coming up soon.
Sorry, I think I messed up your timeline, because I'll be in Norway from September 18th to the 26th.
I'll be away.
Yep. So Norway just happened and it was great. And then I will be doing a bunch of shows in October, November, December in the US. And those are at Lissie.com, you know, hitting the East Coast, West Coast, a little bit of Midwest, headed into 2023. We'll do another European run and then start doing more parts of the US into the spring. So not everything's like confirmed, but we have like a plan.
Where will you be on your birthday in November?
I don't know yet. I think I'm going to be off. I think I'll be off, and I'm turning 40. So, and
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And all of my best friends from growing up, like all of our birthdays are in like the same week. So we've talked about maybe doing something for our 40th. And then my boyfriend, Mike, his birthday's in early December. So I'll do some kind of trip.
Go somewhere. Do something.
Go somewhere warm. You know, it'll be starting to get cold.
Book a gig in Hawaii.
I know. I've never been. I would love to go.
There you go. Lissie is our guest. Carving Canyons is the name of the new album. And we're going to ask for one more song. I know we're getting greedy, but if you wouldn't mind doing another song.
Yeah. And if you don't, I might play you another oldie just because if people are just starting to get to know me. This song, Everywhere I Go, is continues to be one of my like favorite. It's just very simple and heartfelt and vulnerable and lovely, and it just brings me comfort. So I want to play.
It's called Everywhere I Go?
Everywhere I Go.
All right, here's Lissie on Border Crossings.
And I'll fall on my knees. Tell me how's the way to be. Tell me how's the way to go. Tell me all that I should know. And I'll fall on my knees. Tell me how's the way to go. Tell me how's the way to be. To evoke some empathy. And danger will follow me can't see clearly, and I can't feel nothing. No, can you help me? And I'll fall on my knees, and danger will follow everywhere I go. And angels call on me and take me to my home. And danger will follow me now everywhere I go. And angels take me to my home. In my home. In my home. Oh, home.
Border Crossings, we've got Lissie with us everywhere I go, and everywhere you go, you should be listening to Carving Canyons, which is now available on iTunes and Amazon and just about everywhere you can get music.
Yeah.
And you were waving. I thought you had something
Oh,
important.
no. I was just, I don't
Oh,
know.
you were just animating. Okay.
I think I was trying to get this headphone cable off of
Where can people read about you and get in touch with you? I mean, I know you got all the social media sites.
I am, Lissie.com. That's Lissie. I tell people it's like Lassie with an I. And so Lissie.com. I'm, Lissie Music on Instagram and Facebook and Twitters and all the things. So definitely on the socials. I think there's a Wikipedia page about me. So
Yep. I was reading all about your dad who's a doctor, and your mom.
Yeah.
And
he delivered me, actually. My dad.
Oh, really?
Yep. And I'm the youngest of four, and he delivered me. And yep. So my, if you can find out more about me, I think it's accurate. Sometimes I've read it and I'm like, I don't know about that. So
Yep.
I think you
The
can
fans usually update the Wikipedia page. Tell them they got the last album is 2018, so they better do some updating.
Yeah. No, I need to. It's so weird that anyone can just go in there and do it. But I think they have to have credible sources to do it. I'm not sure how it works, but if you Google me, I show up.
You show up. You showed up everywhere. I did Google you, and I also found out Elizabeth is your full name, your first name, and you've probably been called Lissie for a long time. I'm guessing as a nickname as a child, but that's just smart marketing because Elizabeth is close to Elizabeth, but and so it's very.
My name has been a constant source of confusion because I'm Elizabeth with an S, and my mom was really hoping to call me Lisabeth as a kid, but my brothers called me Lizard, and then I was Lissie with Z, Z's, and I was Lizzie for most of my life, even though it was always spelled with S's. I'd just be like, whatever, it's fine, Lizzie. So there was always all this kind of confusion around my name and being called Elizabeth or Lizzie or Lizard. And then so kind of once I was stepping out into the world, as an artist, I just it's actually Lissie with S's, so I had to sort of correct people. But people still call me Lizzie sometimes too.
I love your new music, and I love the cover of the Fleetwood Mac song you did. I mean, you really, I like your sound and your style. It's very, very refreshing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the conversation and the questions. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to have you on. Before you go, because we are talking to a worldwide audience in 100 different countries all around the world, some meeting you for the first time, some knowing you for a while now. Is there any message you want to send out to the audience, which includes the troops?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'd say I hope everyone's staying healthy and safe. And, as a musician, I just encourage everyone, especially now, it's so important to feel your feelings and work through them in order to find some peace. So hopefully my music can help you along with that.
Really like your music, really enjoying the vibe. Thank you so much for sharing your music with us today. We really appreciate having you on.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Lissie is our guest. Carving Canyons is the name of the new album. And my name is Larry London. You are tuned to Border Crossings, and this is VOA TV.